guys, welcome back for another video. My name is Tanya, for those of you that are new here, and I am a watercolor artist and a furniture painter, so you will be seeing both types of tutorials on this channel. But Christmas is only a week away, and I wanted to get in one last Christmas video for you. So one thing that I love putting around the house this time of the year are these vintage light bulbs for the Christmas trees. And I just throw them in little bowls around the house. I just love them. I think they're really pretty and colorful. So I am going to show you how to paint one of those, but the way I'm going to show you how to paint it is if it was lit. So I wanted to show you how to do the reflection against a wall or a table. So I hope you enjoy the video. So to get started, I've got my watercolor paper, I've got my Winsor Newton watercolors, and I've got two Grumbacher paintbrushes, a size 6 and a 2, and I have a pencil and 2 cups of water. So I wanted to paint some light bulbs for you. Christmas is just about a week away, and I usually decorate around the house with little bowls of the old vintage light bulbs. I just think they're really, really pretty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the light bulb for you, but I'm going to be doing it as if the light bulb was on. So it's going to show a little bit of the reflection on the wall. All right, so take your pencil, and you can make these any size you want. It's going to be kind of like an egg shape. You can make them, these are a little bit longer, but I've seen them where they're a little bit shorter and a little bit chubbier. You can make your light bulbs any shape you want. So it's pretty much like an egg. So one side is going to be a little bit rounder and the other side is going to come to a point. And you can just lightly sketch that in. And you can go ahead and make a few of them around your page. And I think I'm going to do maybe 5. And then you can come in later with your eraser and just lighten it up a little bit. So, and you can have them going any which way. I'm just going to have it almost as if they were just laying on the ground or laying on the table. Okay, and you know what? I'm going to do one more kind of bleeding off the page here. Let's go this way. You can have as many as you want. You know what? Actually, I think I'm going to do one more bleeding off the page this way. All right. And then you're going to want to make that little round part where it screws into the socket. So you can make this one's really large. You can make them smaller if you want to. I'm going to make mine about like that. Just go around your page. All right, and then what you could do is you could just come in and lightly start erasing some of your marks. If you think some of them are a little too dark, you could just lighten them up a little bit. All right, so I'm going to do them all different colors. So I'm going to pick up a red, and I'm not even going to tell you what colors I'm using because it really doesn't matter. Just do whatever color you have. So you can go ahead by wetting your paint, and you're going to want to leave a little bit of a highlight on this. So I'm going to come in and I'm just going to kind of outline one side here and then kind of come down like in a triangle so it's a highlight. And then I'm just going to fill in around that highlight. And then you can kind of come back up on the other side of your light bulb. You can come in with some more paint. Now we're going to be putting a couple layers on these, so you don't need to make this super dark right away. We're going to be layering it. But you do want them to be kind of vibrant because they are light bulbs, so they're not going to be like too pastel. So you want these to be a little bit vibrant. And you can even do this if you have gouache instead of watercolor. You could definitely come in and do this with your gouache. It would work just the same way. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a little bit more water on this side. I'm going to give it a little bit more of a highlight on this side with a nice strong highlight, a hot spot, which is, a hot spot is where the light is really shining on it. And so you've got a really bright highlight, a nice crisp white highlight. That's what's called a hot spot. So my hot spot's on this side, whereas it's a little bit more highlighted on that side, if that makes sense. All right, and I'm gonna come in with a little bit more red. And here you can start shaping your light bulb. So if you weren't really happy with the shape of your light bulb when you drew it out, now's the time to start shaping it. All right, so I'm gonna leave it just like that and let it dry. And then we're gonna go on to another one. So I think I'm gonna do this one yellow. And the same thing, come in with your yellow on one side. I'm gonna leave that hot spot, that nice crisp highlight on that side. I'm gonna come in with my yellow. And as I move to the right side, I'm gonna be adding a little bit more water. I'm gonna wash off my brush, dab it off on my paper towel, and just come in with some water, just so it bleeds off a little bit. And then you can bring a little bit more yellow on the edge here. Just like that. And it's a really easy painting. Once you've got your technique down, you can go with any color. It's just the same technique with any color. And it goes actually really, really fast. So let's do this one green. So I'm gonna pick up this nice kind of emerald green here. And I'm gonna do the one side. I'm gonna leave that little triangle shape highlight. And I'm gonna start bringing my green around the rest of that highlight. Wash off my brush. And with the rest, just water, kind of move your paint around that light bulb. See, that's the beauty of watercolor. You could just nicely move it around with water. And you could achieve, you know, your brights and your lights without using any white paint. That's the beauty of watercolor. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in with a little bit more of that same green and just kind of come up a little bit on the edge here. And I want a little bit more point on this light bulb. So I'm gonna round him out a little bit more, just like that. Perfect. All right, let's do this one purple. Okay, so you've got it like that. You're gonna come in with your little highlight. And as you see, I'm putting the highlights, that nice strong highlight, that hot spot, I'm putting it on the left side of my light bulbs. You could do whatever you want, but that's just the side that I chose to do. All right, wash off your brush, bring in some water, let it bleed out on the other side. Just like that. And then I am going to bring in a little bit more of that color right up the edge here. And I'm gonna round him out a little bit more here at the end. I think he needs to be a little bit rounder. There. And what I'm gonna do, since I want this to be a nice deep purple, I'm gonna actually bring in just a little bit more as the first layer is drying. I'm gonna bring in a little bit more purple, just on that side. There. All right, and I've got two more. Let's do another red one. This one you're only gonna see half of that highlight because he is bleeding off the page. So this is really only the little end of it right here, the end of the light bulb. And bleed that in, so that's your highlighted side. And if you add a little too much water like I did, just pick it up with your brush and dab it off. And you can bring in a little bit more red. And come up that edge again. All right, and let's do another purple on this side. Actually, you know what? Let's do a blue. I think that would be really, really pretty. Let's do a blue on this side. All right, so, and again, this one is bleeding off the edge, so you're only gonna see a little bit of that highlight on this side. And you can come up on the other side if you want to. And then take a clean brush, bleed them out a little bit. And if you think that's still, oops, I just got a nice big water drop on there. If you think that's a little bit too much water, just pick it up with your brush and dab it off. There. That's really pretty. Okay, so the first one we did, that nice red one, is nice and dry. So we're gonna come in with another layer. We're gonna do pretty much the same thing we just did. We're gonna come in with another layer of the same red, go around your hot spot. Come up one side. And then you can just bleed the rest together. Now, if you want a little bit more highlight than that, again, dry off your brush, nice clean brush, and wipe some of it off and put it on your paper towel. And just keep going until you achieve that nice light red that you want. So you can just do that as many times as you want. And I think that's a nice contrast right there. All right, so I'm gonna do my yellow one again. Although my yellow turned out nice and bright, I don't have to do too much to this. So I'm going to put a little bit more yellow on this one side here. And I think that's really all, because I really like the way that looks. I'll just bleed it out a little bit. Okay, and let's go ahead and do our purple. And that's really nice. Remember, I came in and I did the two layers of purple right away. So see how nice and crisp that is? So I don't really need to do too much. So I'm just gonna come back up on this one side. And then I'm gonna bleed them out a little bit. And then I'm gonna pull some of that off. So it's a nice strong highlight on that side. And let's do our green. You come around your highlight there and then back up. And then you can just blend that in. And if you wanted it to be a little bit more green, then just add a little more green to it. If you want it to be a little lighter, just take a nice clean brush and just wipe it off and put it on your paper towel. Or if you want, you could just take your paper towel and dab it, and it gives you even a little bit more of a stronger highlight. The only thing with that is it doesn't look as smooth to me, so I like to come in and just take it off with my paintbrush. But you could always use your paper towel as well. All right, and let's go ahead and do our blue. I think I used this blue. Actually, I'm gonna reshape this a little bit because it got a little bit too skinny up here. So I'm gonna reshape it. I'm gonna come down, I'm gonna go around my highlight, and then back up this way. And then I'm gonna blend it in. If it's too much of a highlight on that side, just blend it until you feel it's right. And then I'm gonna come in with my paintbrush, soften that up a little bit. All right. Perfect. All right, so now that we've got that done, we are going to put our little reflection on the wall. So it's obviously gonna be, the reflection on the wall is gonna be the same color as your light bulb. So I'm gonna come in with a little bit of, actually first I'm gonna wet my paper right where I want that highlight. And I want a little bit on each side of that light bulb. So I'm gonna come in with some red. And you can make this as light or as dark as you want. And you're gonna put a reflection on that wall. You could do just both sides. You could go all the way around your light bulb if you want to. The only thing is I wouldn't put too much of a reflection on the top because you've got that little topper up here where the light bulb screws in, and there's not gonna be that much light up there. So you can keep adding a little bit of paint to this to make it darker and darker. So you don't want to come in with too much paint at once, because then if it's too dark, it's hard to get rid of. So do it in baby steps. Just kind of add a little bit, you know, at a time. And you can come right up to your light bulb if you want to, or you can leave a little bit of a highlight if you want to on the wall area, what is supposed to be the wall area. And I'm gonna probably add a little bit more to that. It's not as deep as I want. I'm just gonna dab some red around. Now that's obviously too bright, but I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna wipe some of it off. And you can maneuver it around your paper with your brush. And then just bleed it off. And if you think that it went too far, just take your paper towel and just dab it a little bit, like that. All right. And you could do the same thing to the other side. And then just feather it out around your light bulb. So we're gonna do the same thing to all of them using the same color of the light bulb. So I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna have a little bit of water, which my water was a little yellow there, which is fine because my light bulb is yellow. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of yellow. And then pick it back up. Go around your light bulb and feather it out. And then do the same thing to the other side. And then feather it out. And it's okay where the two colors mix together. It's actually kind of pretty when that does happen. Kind of creates a, you know, because red and yellow make orange, so it's going to give it kind of an orangish hue right in the middle there. All right, so we're going to let that dry, and if we want to come back in and add more, we could do that later. Let's go ahead and do our green. So what we're going to do is we're going to wet our page first, right where we want that highlight. And I used that green, I believe. Oop, that's a little too dark, but that's okay because we're gonna blend it out anyways. So you're gonna take it, you're gonna blend it out. And if you need to wipe some off on your paper towel, definitely do that. And then just bleed it, feather it out. And here again, I went a little too far, so just take your paper towel and dab it off. Plus I want to leave a little bit of a highlight for that blue that's right next to it. All right, so let's do the same thing to the other side. And try not to touch your light bulb too much, because then some of that paint that's on the light bulb is gonna bleed over into your, which is fine. You just might need to come in later and crispen up your light bulb a little bit with some more paint. So it's totally fine if you do touch your light bulb and it bleeds into your reflection. That's totally fine. You might just need to go in and crispen up your light bulb again towards the end. I'm gonna let those bleed into each other. And let's do our blue. So I'm gonna add a little water, pick up my blue, add a little reflection. Blue and yellow make green. You might get a little bit of a green tone here, which is totally fine. Add a little blue on the other side. And blue and green make kind of an aqua color, which is my favorite color, so I'm hoping that's what it does here. Pretty. All right, if you feel you got a little too much, like I feel I got a little too much blue down here at the bottom, go ahead, pick it up with your clean paper towel. And let's go and add a little red to this one. So water, red. That's really pretty. Now, you're gonna wanna let it dry and see where you think you want more. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my heat gun and I'm gonna dry this really quick. Okay. Go ahead and straighten out your paper. If the heat gun kind of warped your paper a little bit, just go ahead and flatten it out again. And another thing is you could always tape off your page too, if you want to. I usually don't. I just deal with the way it curves a little bit, but if that really bothers you, go ahead and tape off your page before you even start painting. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna pick up, oh, and by the way, the whole time I was using my size 6 brush. Now I'm gonna pick up my size 2 brush and I'm gonna come in with either a Payne's Gray or a black, and I'm gonna pick up my black here. And we're gonna do a little bit of where that light bulb, where it plugs into the little socket there. So come in with a little bit of like a light gray, and you can give it a little bit of a highlight as well on one side. And that's all you're gonna wanna do at first, and then let that dry and we're gonna come in with more. Now, my light bulb's got the little ridges that come in like this, so that's kind of what I'm trying to mimic, is those little ridges that come in. You don't need to do this little bump out part. If you wanna do the little bump out part, go for it, but I'm just gonna do just little ridges like that. All right, so do the same thing to all of them. So, and then leave a little highlight. Just keep going around your page till they're all done. And again, you can make these as tall as you want. This little part that goes into the socket, you make it that as tall as you want. This one you don't see because it's bleeding off. This one you do see. And it doesn't have to be straight because it's got all these like little grooves. So even if you want it to be like a little bit of a curvy line, you know, a little bit of a bumpy line on the sides here, that's totally fine. And then that one's bleeding off again, so you're not gonna see that. All right, so this one should be dry by now. We're gonna come in with a little bit more. I'm gonna kind of do the same thing I had just done, like that. So see how I left a little bit of a highlight in there, and I'm just making those little lines that go across? That's where the groove is, for it to screw into the little socket. All right, so one side. There. Beautiful. And then just keep going around until they're all done. Perfect. All right. So we're gonna let that part dry, and then we're gonna come in with our, it's an archival ink quality pen. You can use any pens you want, but this is a really good brand. It's Micron, and I don't know, this is just always the pen that I go to. And this is a size 05. So let's just make sure that those are nice and dry. And what we're gonna do is we can come in with a little extra detail. If you want to, come in with a little extra detail. I hope you can see this. I'm just following some of my lines, my grooves that I had done with the paint. So I'm doing a little curvy line on one side, and then I'm coming around with those little C curves on the other side. It just gives it a little bit more punch. But you could totally skip this part if you want to. And I'm really only just doing one side. I'm really only just doing one side of the little light bulb. So now we're gonna have them kind of come in with a little curly Q, just to kind of finish off your painting. We're gonna come in with a little bit of a curly Q wire where it's like they're all connected. So I'm gonna take my pen, and there's gonna be two lines coming around. You could do some curves if you want. You can let it bleed off your page if you want, kind of like this one is connected to this one. And then I'm gonna do like this one is connected to the red one. And then I'll do a curve coming this way. And then you could even bleed it off your page a little bit and have it come around. And then I'm just gonna have it attached to that guy. And then this one is gonna come around. And you could do as many curlies as you want to, and I'm going to do like it's bleeding off the page, but then it's connected there, and it's coming off, and then so this one is kind of connected to this one, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it so it's like it came down and then it went back up, so it just gives it a little bit more of a feeling that that's where the wire is. And you know what, I think I need a little bit more wire on this side. So you could just have it bleed off your page wherever you want. I just wanted to show you just a quick and simple way of making the little light bulbs. Thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you liked it and learned a little something. And if you did like it, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to this channel. And you can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Have a great day. Bye.